Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of YouTube Dog Training. It's me, Garrett Lively, and today we'll be talking about canine psychology and what that means for training your dog and how it's going to affect the training of your dog. So first off, what we're going to go through today is can you read your dog's mind? We're going to look at 3 different drives that are present in most dogs. We're going to examine your dog's personality type and how you can work with that and work with the 3 drives. And then finally, we want to make sure that your dog's not training you. And so first off, we want to talk about reading your dog's mind. So your dog can give little subtle cues to you that might indicate what it's about to do. For example, if you have a dog that's really scared of you or really ashamed, it might tuck its tail between its legs and possibly go hide in a corner. If you have a dog that's really excited, it'll start probably wagging its tail. A poorly trained dog might get up on its hind legs and jump on you. If a sound is unpleasant to your dog's ears, it might start howling, and so on and so forth. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different cues that could indicate how your dog's feeling. And so, for example, when you're training a dog and you wanna curb a bad behavior, you might think to yourself, well, if I do something unpleasant to the dog, it's gonna not want to do that behavior anymore. And what you got to remember is that dogs can't reason like us as humans. They're not quite as smart as us. And so, for example, if your dog tore up your shoe, and you know it was your dog, you're 100% sure, and you get home and you see the torn up shoe and you see the dog, you can call the dog over and say, "Bad dog, you're a bad dog, naughty boy." But the dog's really not going to learn anything from that. It's not going to know what it did. It can't really reason with its past actions and understand that what it has done is what it's currently being punished for. And so you gotta understand that dogs are living in the now. They're not about the past, and they can't make those connections. So if a dog's already committed the crime, you just got to forget about it, and you got to be smarter. You got to be the one to put your shoes up, and we're gonna move forward with training your dog in a better manner. It's gonna learn to associate what you're doing with the here and now, and you're gonna learn to teach your dog in the here and now. So, with that being said, most dogs aren't going to be in a perfect environment all the time. You might take it on a walk, you might have guests over, you might have ambulances going through your neighborhood, and you want your dog to behave well all the time, not just when you and maybe your significant other is home, but maybe if you're home and your roommates are home, and if you have some friends over, or if you have some people staying over for the weekend, just any of that stuff. You want to make sure your dog behaves under under imperfect circumstances. So dogs have what we call the three drives. The 3 drives, and the first drive is prey drive, and then we have the pack drive, and then we finally have the defense drive. And so the defense drive is pretty natural in most animals. But we want to focus specifically on the pack drive and the prey drive. So in general, we want the pack drive is what it would, dogs behaving happily around you, others, other dogs. The prey drive is dogs attacking, hunting, digging, anything that you would associate with getting food, maybe not from you, but maybe from a rabbit, a squirrel, anything like that. And so generally we want to encourage pack drive while discouraging the prey drive. In order to have a well-trained dog, we want it to basically submit to our commands regardless of what its instincts are telling it to do. And they can switch. All dogs can switch between these drives at a moment's notice. I want you to imagine, if you will, just close your eyes, and you're in your living room. You're sitting on the couch. You're watching your favorite television show on the television. Your dog is off to the side in the corner, chewing on a toy. Your dog is currently in pack drive. It's hanging out with you, having a great time. All of a sudden, the doorbell rings. Bang. The dog's in defense drive. He's protective of his territory. He's protective of you. You open up the door. It's his favorite dog sitter. He gets very excited. His tail starts wagging. He can't wait to greet his favorite dog sitter. He starts licking. He's currently in pack drive. You decide, I've had enough of this. You say, hey, go back to your toy. The dog goes back to its toy. Perfect example of the different drives switching and all the different ways you want a dog to heed your commands as it's going through its necessary steps. So your breed of dog is going to have a lot to do with how high or how low the drives are in a dog. For example, you might have a couch potato dog, which is pretty low in all three drives. You may have a hunter dog, which is very high in the prey drive, while very low in the pack drive. And also pretty low in the defense drive. You could have a gas station or a junkyard dog. It would be very high in both prey and defense, but relatively low in pack drive. And these are kind of tough to train, as they're loners very often. You might have the shadow, the dog who just wants to be around you. He doesn't really care about a squirrel, or doesn't really care if somebody's knocking on the door. He's just hanging out. Good old bud. And then you might have the teacher's pet, who's just the perfect dog. He's defensive when you want him to be defensive. Hangs out with you when you want him to hang out. And he'll go fetch a stick whenever you throw it. So I want you to think about what kind of dog you have, and think about the challenges that you're going to have specifically with your dog as you start training your dog. And then lastly, what we want to talk about today is we want to make sure the dog isn't the one training you. You're the one training the dog. You're the one in control. And both you need to know that, and your dog needs to know that. For example, you may say, hey, Gare, how can my dog train me? I'm too smart. You just said he couldn't reason that well. And well, you're right, he can't reason that well, but I want you to close your eyes again and think for a second. You're sitting on your couch again. The dog comes up to you, nuzzles your hand onto his head, and then starts walking back and forth in order to simulate the petting motion that you would be doing. You comply, you start petting the dog. Boom. The dog's just trained you to pet him based on what it's doing. And this is all fine. But the dog's got to know it's on your time. So if you say, hey, I want you to go back into that corner, I want you to chew on your toy, the dog's got to know to do it. So you got to make sure you don't give in to the dog all the time. And you got to make sure the dog gives in to you all the time. You're the boss. He's the dog. Join us next week as we actually start training dogs. This has been Garrett Lively with YouTube Dog Training.